welcome everyone to our webinar dedicated to Farmtopia services. The purpose of this webinar is to help you integrate the Farmtopia services into your solutions. If you are applying for the Farmtopia open call, we will wait a bit more to see if anyone else will join us. But for now, we can give a brief introduction of ourselves. My name is Dusan. I'm here with my colleagues from Foodscale Hub, Anna and Julia. And in the project of Farmtopia, we are leading the activities dedicated to the open call, exploitation and communication and dissemination. And also with us here, we have our technical coordinator, Nikos Kaladzis from Neuropublic, as well as our technical experts, Marcos Thanasis and Miran. And they will be telling you more about the services themselves. Nikos, maybe we can start, and if anyone else joins, they will.
Yeah, thank you, Dusan. Hello, everyone. My name is Nikos Kaladzis. I'm working for Neuropublic, and Neuropublic leads the technical work package of the Farmtopia project. And as Dusan said, this session is dedicated to explain to you what is the rationale of the Farmtopia services and how you can plan your integration with these Farmtopia services in the context of the proposal you are writing for the open call. So I will share my screen to show you some slides we have prepared. Okay, can you see now the slides?
Yes, we can see it in full screen mode.
Perfect. Okay. So the agenda for today is to have a short introduction of about the open call. There was before some weeks a detailed analysis of the open call objectives. As you already know, this is a more technical session, so there will be only 10 minutes about the generics of the open call. Then I'm going to proceed with the presentation of the Farmtopia services, but giving a more high-level approach. What are the objectives, how they are designed, the overall architecture, why we have created these services. And then we're going to elaborate in the four main key items of the Farmtopia project with regards to the technical implementation. First of all is the Farmtopia semantic model that Marcos Fragopoulos from Greece Supply Chain is going to say a few things. And then the three services, the Farmtopia Farm Calendar, which will be presented by Miran from ITC, the Farmtopia Data Integration Service, which will be presented by Marcos again from Greece Supply Chain, and the data sharing approach we are implementing in Farmtopia that will be presented by Thanasis, and I can assist if necessary. Then we will going to have a short Q&A session. So I give the floor to Dusan for a short presentation of the project and the open call process.
Thank you very much, Nikos, for the introduction. Basically, I will try to keep it as short as direct as possible. We will cover who we are, what we are offering, and what we are looking for. So we are Farmtopia. This is the acronym of our project, and the full title is Democratizing Digital Farming Through Smart Solutions for Small Farms. Our goal is to develop agricultural digital solutions and to make them more accessible to small and medium-sized farmers. In the way these solutions are created, used, and paid for. Our project has started last year in September, and currently we are at our 15th month of project implementation, and it will last until August 2026. The total budget of our project is over 5.5 million euros, and this is an innovation action, meaning that in addition to receiving funding from the European Commission, the companies of our consortium are participating with their own funding as well. Our coordinator is New Republic, the organization to which Nikos belongs to. And we are 22 partners from 11 European countries. Next slide, please, Nikos. Thank you. As I said, our main goal is to create a paradigm shift in the way these solutions are being developed, used, and paid for. Farmtopia aims to solve real problems of real farms. And that is why we are implementing a multi-actor approach where we group different types of stakeholders to determine what are the needs and how they will be solved. We are creating a set of reusable software modules, and this is basically to what this session today is dedicated the most, as well as the business and governance models for the utilization and scaling up of these agricultural digital solutions. And at the moment, we have nine pilots, sustainable innovation pilots in our project, with 9 more that we will be funding through our open call. What we are offering? We are offering 900,000 euros in equity-free deliverable-based funding, meaning that you will not be asked to return this money, nor will it be checked in the sense that you will not be submitting financial reports to us as a condition to receive this funding. However, you will be required to submit 3 deliverables, and upon successful assessment of these deliverables, you will be entitled to the respective iteration of your funding. As I already mentioned, we will be selecting 9 winning pilots. Each one will be receiving 100,000 euros for 12 months of project implementation. As a condition to get selected for funding, you of course need to incorporate the Farmtopia services, which Nikos will tell you more about. And in order to apply for this open call of ours, you will need to apply jointly as a consortium that consists of agricultural digital solution provider, which needs to be an SME, and the end user, which needs to be a small or medium farm. One thing to highlight here is that while cooperatives on their own are not eligible to be end users, members of cooperatives that are farm are, and we encourage interactions with cooperatives in the implementation of this project of ours. And of course, in order to be eligible, you need to be registered, meaning that if you want to apply first, and then if you're selected for funding to register, that this is not something that will be eligible and acceptable under the Farmtopia open call. So you need to already be registered at the moment of proposal submission. The eligible applications will be assessed against 3 criteria: excellence and relevance, impact and implementation, that each have a mark between 1 and 5, and that have the following weighing factors, as you can see in this presentation. If you want to find out more about these evaluation criteria, they are available in the guidelines for applicants, which you can find at the Farmtopia website, the page dedicated to our open call. In addition to these criteria, we also deploy an extra point scheme in Farmtopia, meaning that we will be awarding pilots who are deploying their solutions in countries not covered by Farmtopia internal SIPs and in sectors that are not already covered by our project partners. If you want to find out more about these pilots of ours, you can, of course, go to our website. We have a dedicated page to pilots of Farmtopia, and there is also a very brief summary of our internal pilots present in Annex 1, which is the open call text. So in total, you can receive 1 extra point in addition to the 5 ones that stem from the evaluation criteria. So that would be the very, very short and very basic introduction. If you want to find out more about the open call itself, you can go to Farmtopia YouTube channel, where you will be able to find the recording of the previous webinar that Nikos mentioned, where we were more focused on the call itself. So, Nikos, I give the floor back to you.
Okay, thank you, Dusan. So now going into a more technical analysis of the objectives of the Farmtopia. As you are already aware, the main objective of Farmtopia project is to assist the adaptation of digital agricultural solutions for small farms. the project has already identified a number of reasons why the small farms are not adopting such technologies. Based on this analysis, we have set up a strategy for addressing the technical requirements that the small farms have. This means that, first of all, is the investment cost. As it is obvious, a small farm may not have the capacity, may not have the experts to do an analysis in the market to identify what are the necessary tools, might not have the capacity to have experts to use the technology. It's not only this, there are also other reasons. However, what we are trying to do in Farmtopia is to develop a number of reusable services that can act as building blocks for developing more complete agricultural digital solutions. So this means that the Farmtopia services we are going to present in this session are not considered as agricultural digital solutions by themselves, as standalone services. They are components that can be reused through their interfaces in building something more complete that will assist farmers in their everyday tasks. So, what are the objectives, the technical objectives of the Farmtopia project? First of all, is to enable the co-creation of agricultural digital solutions addressing the needs of small farms. So we need to identify what is a small farm, which was not an easy task for the consortium, given that there are different interpretations of what a small farm is in different, depending on the different regions of Europe, the type of cultivation, and things like that. So as I said before, the main objective here is to release reusable open source software components that assist farms and that they reduce the development cost for ADS providers. So what we try to achieve here is to provide to the SMEs tools that can be reused and that SMEs will not need to develop core components that we see in all ADSs from scratch. As you will see, this will be the farm calendar, which is the fundamental tool, let's say, for registering cultivation practices and things like that. Integration of different data sources and also sharing of data. Sharing of data, it's not just to promote interoperability or something like that. In the context of Farmtopia is that what we're trying to do is to promote collaboration of farmers in digital sphere. This means that as farmers associations are trying to support farmers in gaining a critical mass in the real world, we try through these tools, in Farmtopia tools, to promote collaboration of farmers by exchanging data or by exchanging equipment, as we are going to see, like assets, machinery. Other objective of Farmtopia project is to support the pilot realization. This means that in the context of the open call, the SIPs that are going to be funded, they will be supported by the technical work package in building their ADS and also to ensure compliance with the overall technical requirements that are defined by the Farmtopia project, but of course also to integrate with the different reusable Farmtopia services. All these are documented, and at the end of the project, we are going to publish the guidelines and good practices, not only for tailored to the Farmtopia services, but also in general. So the plan here is to the way that we developed these tools are based on a co-design, the co-creation process, where we got input from farmers, advisors, and farmers associations. For sure, we did the desk review of relevant reports, but also the relevant policies from the European Commission, especially with regards to Data Act, and use of AI, GDPR, etc. We support the use of existing digital technologies, existing components, as we are in favor of reusing existing solutions that they have proved to be robust and useful. And we are also in favor of documentation. So we had specifications, we have detailed specifications of the various services we have developed, and also proceed with the implementation. This is the overall concept of the Farmtopia project. So we follow the microservices architectural design, as we said before, and you are going to see in more details. We have released three main services: the digital fieldbook, the data exchange module, and the data integration module. These are available to the existing pilots, and they are already integrated with the digital solutions in these pilots. And the objective is that to enhance or to act as functional components for a more integrated and complete agricultural digital services. We are also going to release on February the ADS sharing platform, which is essentially an inventory and a matchmaking platform where the different farmers or providers in general are able to register their equipment, like tractors or UAVs or sensors or weather stations, or even software components in a platform, and make this available for reuse for free, or for an agreed financial benefit among a community of farmers. Interoperability on data level, semantic interoperability, but also technical interoperability, meaning exchange of being able to discover services and to reuse the services is of high priority for all projects from European Commission, also for Farmtopia. So as you're going to see, we have the Farmtopia semantic model for supporting the any kind of exchange of data. So no need to use the Farmtopia semantic model for your internal operations of your ADS. But if you would like your ADS to be able to interact with the world and other services, then you need to be interoperable. The first release of the reusable software modules is available. Everything is public. It's in the GitLab, gitlab.com/Farmtopia, where you will find the Farmtopia semantic model and the three services. We have also an endpoint where all the services are available for use. Of course, there are some conditions that need to be ensured. And also we have the documentation of the web services in Open API and Swagger form available for anyone that wants to elaborate more on how to integrate with the services. As I said before, we have developed the Farmtopia semantic model. It is based on existing ontologies and best practices. I hand over to Marcos, he's the expert on this. Marcos, do you want to say a few words about the Farmtopia semantic model?
Sure. Hello from me. I'm Marcos from Green Supply Chain. We have developed the Farmtopia semantic model and the data integration service that we'll present later. Regarding the Farmtopia semantic model, it is an effort to contribute to the overall digitalization and standardization of data regarding the agri-food sector in EU. It is based on several existing ontologies and standardized data models. It's a model that is based on a previous developed Bluetooth Common Semantic Model as a basis. In Farmtopia, we have extended with several other entities and operations like field inventory, extra operations, inputs, observations, predictions, and cataloging for datasets. And we have also integrated some important stuff regarding compatibility with Inspire Directive, international data spaces, and DataCube as the most important topics. It is available. Yes, Nikos.
Whenever you want to change slide, tell me. Not.
Yes. It is available in GitLab, both the ontology itself as an RDF, as long as examples that we have already made for the SIPs that related now to Farmtopia. Next slide, please. In general, we have examples about operations, about observations and predictions, and dataset descriptions. More or less are examples that you can actually test them also in the endpoints that Nikos previously referred to. It's data coming from all the three modules that we have developed during Farmtopia, and also is some examples from two SIPs of Farmtopia. Next slide, please.
Marco, sorry, if I may add on what you say, that here this is available in GitLab. You can see tangible examples on how data are without being modeled with a Farmtopia semantic model, but also how they are translated according to the semantics of the Farmtopia semantic model. And also, Marcos and the Green Supply Chain, they have provided code scripts in JavaScript on how you can do this mapping. And this is really helpful for services that they want to start being interoperable with regards to their data. Please continue, Marcos.
Yes, I want to say a few more about the translators. More or less, the workflow is like composed of two steps. One step is the parsing of your data, the raw data that is modeled on your way, which is corresponds to source code that you have to customize depend on your model, and the contextualizer, which is a generic file that can execute the whole procedure after that. You can see at the right more or less how it looks like. It's JSON LD. It's like simple JSON with some additions, like the context that is added, which make the whole description linked data. Next slide, please.
Okay. That was the part of Farmtopia semantic model. Now we move to the first service, which is the Farmtopia digital field book. As we said, even from the proposal from the project proposal definition time, we considered that having a digital field book, it's one of the core entities and core services that it's necessary for the digitization of the farming activities. And ITC and Miran will say more about this.
Hello, as Nico said, I'm Miran from ITC. I'm head of development on ITC, and I will present you the farm calendar. And Nikos, could I share my screen?
Yes.
Because I believe you have to stop sharing. Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. Because I will probably switch between tabs and share screen, entire screen. Which one? This one. Can you see it, my screen? So, or no, not yet.
Yes, we can, but please do it presenters mode.
Okay. Yes.
Go for screen.
Because I'm used to Teams. Teams, I have some red rectangle around, and I'm not sure. Okay.
I think you just press the presenters. Yeah.
Yes. To present where it is. Here it is. No. Use Chetka. No, it's refreshed. No, I would rather, if you agree, present in this mode, because I plan to switch between tabs. So because
Okay.
Yes. Just to refresh. Okay. So we bring to this project the digital field book or farm calendar as a tool for recording farm practices. As a recording of activities on the field, observations of the growth stages, and so on, and also managing the machinery, stock of manure and phytochemicals, and also managing the fields, or like properties of the soil, field, climate, and so on. And this farm calendar can be used in two ways. First is that you use it as a service. You just apply for the username at the Farmtopia contact, and you log into this web application, and you start building your farm. Entering fields, machinery, and so on. The other more important way to use it is as open source services, which I will present here on the next slide. And here we have the semantic presentation of the architecture of these services. So we have, as I said, in 3 pillars, like farm calendar as a service, farm calendar as an open source software, and also we have this data exchange API, which shares data with the data exchange module. And we are using modular approach in this field book, where those different layers of architecture are entirely separated, and are communicating through the REST API calls. That means that we have the scalability, robustness, security, and many other advantages of this. The open source version is offered to the interested who want to use in the form of Docker. Not this. Okay. Here I have the short overview of the front end, but this I will show live in the form of Docker, where we have basically four containers. First one is of course front end. Then we have the backend service and database service, and also the data sharing API. And here on the left, we have the technologies used. Of course, as Docker is commonly used deployment technique. Then Mapbox we are using for the displaying fields on the map and the satellite pictures and so on. The backend is developed with .NET Core technology, and for storing for data, we are using Microsoft SQL and this storage. And Quasar is the framework on which the front-end elements are implemented. And exclamation mark we have here because it's not mandatory to use Quasar because anyone can use his own front end around the back end. So because we have the entire backend exposed as the Swagger endpoints, where you log in with just simple username and password, and all the functionalities, which I will briefly show a bit later, are exposed as endpoints where you can update data, delete data, download data, and so on. So what that means that everyone can use the field book as open source as on just to download the Docker containers, deploy it in his infrastructure, and it's ready to use. Or can use just backend and database container and build around these two containers entirely new front end, or integrate in some existing front end, or build other functionalities which we did not cover around that. And so yes, that means that we have full extensibility. And where you can get more info, yes, the first is this Farmtopia GitLab repository, where you have documentation, Dockers where you can download, and so on. I will pass all those links later into the chat, so you can access them later. Yes, so that was very brief explanation. So to deploy this and to develop this you need some documentation. So documentation is form of the config files are pretty much self-explanatory. We have comments in config files and source code, and also there is this one deliverable which is published on this link, where we have more detailed description of the services and the development technique used, and so on and so on. And of course, all of that's also covered in the GitLab documentation. And of course, you always can ask us a question over the email, or organize a meeting when you will be deploying this component in your infrastructure or in your ecosystem. And yes, this is pretty it. And this is for the short introduction, and I will now just show the live version of this fieldbook. It is, as I said, the web application. Where you get the username and password, which creates you the administrator, and the first page is where you get some basic information about your farm, then the management of the field or display of the field. You can manage the crop rotation, machinery. Manage the machinery, manage the stocks of fertilizers and pesticides, and so on. For example, field you can add with the tool where you drive the boundary on the field on the map. You just have to input some identifier, name, webinar field. And you have to define field type. Yes, as you can see, the user interface is English. We have also added support to the multi-language. Now I will draw some quick rectangle around this field. So you see automatically it's calculate the area. Yes, we have the support for multi-language because I can easily switch between two languages with just one click. And then, of course, now we have to define the crop rotation for this field, which is this 124. I will edit crops. I will define here what I will be cultivating in this year for this field. And then, of course, I have to define tasks. And I can just add tasks, define, choose which field, confirm, define task type, for instance, plowing, define, confirm that this is the correct field, define the machinery, some notes or attachments, and so on. The next also strong, good functionality is the reports, because the user can generate some generalized or basic report where he defined for which fields he wants to generate the report. And I would say where I have some crops and some tasks. You just choose which fields you want to define the report, click prepare, and then the systems prepare you the Excel file, which is ready to be reviewed by the control from the agency which controls the common agriculture policy, because farmers in Slovenia are using this as a tool for you know, when they have the controls from the inspector from these agencies which control the measurements, or if their farming practices are aligned with the common agriculture policy. So this is some basic report. I have
yes, 2 minutes more. Okay.
Okay, just this one report which is more adjusted to the Slovenian implementation of common agriculture policy. This first report can be used by anyone in the Europe, and this is the Slovenian example of this implementation of SAP, where the Slovenian agency defined a very specific report, you know, the format and the save copy. The formula just where the information about the farm, about the activities on the field, about the fertilizer and the spraying and so on.
Okay.
Okay. As I promised, I will pass all those links in the chat, and please contact us with questions and whatever, because as I said many times, I would need more than 1 hour, not more than 1 hour to present all these services, whatever can be done.
Okay, so thank you, Miran. I guess that our audience has a very good input on how to build their ADSs on top of what you are offering there. Okay, I'm going to share again my screen, and we continue with the Farmtopia's data integration module. Here, the concept when we were designing this tool is that there are so many projects and there are so many sources of information useful for agricultural activities, but they are underexploited for various reasons, because it's difficult, for example, to integrate with their APIs, because you don't know that they exist, or because they are too verbose, let's say, and not easy to comprehend what they are offering. So Greece Supply Chain further elaborated in the design of this service and implemented that. Marcos, please say a few words about this service.
Yes, this module is an approach to facilitate bootstrap in the development process of ADS solutions. In detail, we have implemented 3 kind of external third-party services. We have implemented an API for the weather from Open Weather Maps. We have implemented an API for satellite data from Sentinel Hub. and an API for pest infestation prediction data based on EU-funded project called IPM Decisions. Next slide, please. From a technical perspective, what we have made is an application which is Dockerized that makes easy the consumption of this kind of data that I previously referred on. It is a Node.js application that can have a request based on a spatial entity described with a polygon of coordinates or a pair of coordinates as a point in order to make the necessary requests to the third-party services and return the data for a specific spatial entity and also for a temporal window that is preferred on the query. It returns this data on the Farmtopia semantic model that previously described. Next slide, please. Here we can see an example of the data as returned for the weather, and also we can see how the query looks like. The installation and the initialization of the service itself, it's really straightforward. It needs only some configurations in the YML file where its consumer should include the authentication information for its service, meaning that its provider should make accounts, should sign up for accounts on the preferred service like Open Weather Maps or Sentinel Hub, and customize the configuration files with these credentials in order to be able to consume data from these services. Next slide, please. Apart from weather-related data, we have also ingested various vegetation indexes like NDVI, which is one of the most utilized indexes, along with other ones that are also important for several use cases. As you can see on the right of the screen, it is also an example in the JSON-LD response for such statistical data. Means that we have implemented data that are statistics for a time window. Next slide, please. The last third-party source that we have integrated is IPM Decisions, which is a service that you can query based on spatial entity again, and can get a risk index for a batch of pests and crops. As you can see here, a lot of pests and crops are supported, but also is related to the availability on its country, because the service is developed based on the SSS providers for country-specific, for several countries, but for country-specific cases. Again, you can see like very straightforward descriptions of the data at the right side. More or less this is very straightforward implementation, I think. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Marcos. Again, I think this is one of the services that it is more straightforward to be planned for integration within your proposal in the SIP, given that the diversity of the different services that it provides, weather data, satellite data, and pest infestation predictions that are pretty essential for many agricultural services. Now, the next one is the data exchange module. I will say a few words before we go into the technical details along with Thanasis, the developer from New Republic. So I guess if you are already involved in, in similar projects, there is a lot of discussion now about data economy and how it will be feasible to support, to facilitate data exchange with regards to agricultural data. Although there is a lot of effort invested in this, still things are quite complicated. So however, it's crucial to succeed on such a task, on being able to exchange data. So we are aware about all the ongoing regulations and the different frameworks that are currently under specification or implementation on an EU-wide level. However, here we would like to see a more practical way of sharing data among entities. For example, we wanted to be able to share data among a group of farmers that they are part of the same farmers organization or a farmers association, without being necessary to register on a hub somewhere in Brussels or something like that. So what the rationale on developing the Farmtopia's data exchange module is that is available as a containerized service that you can download it, install it on in one server, a virtual machine or something like that, and by using different connectors, it is feasible to proceed with sharing of endpoints and REST APIs that will be act as data sources, and to apply the essential security mechanisms, but also to support the negotiation, like agreeing on the sharing and use of data. For sure, we would like to, we had one of the core objectives was to be an interoperable and compliant to standards approach for data sharing, and open to integrate with more international, let's say, solutions like the agri-data spaces that they are currently under development, when this will be available, because right now we don't have something concrete. So Thanasis, do you want to proceed, or should I say a few high-level explanations?
No, it's okay. A bit more time for me.
Yeah.
Let me share my screen. Okay, wrong. Let's go again. Losing time. Share. Okay. I think this is it, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Perfect. We can see.
Okay, now?
Yes.
Okay. Let me go fast and say that Farmtopia is a directory and identity broker for REST APIs in order to have data sharings. Okay, it's a directory because providers can list their APIs, making them easy for others to find and use. And it's an identity provider because it handles the authentication and access by issuing secure tokens, JWTs we are using, to consumers so that they can directly connect with providers. I will just say again what Nico said, that it is important to note that Farmtopia does not store the data itself. Consumers get the data directly from the providers on a peer-to-peer basis. Now, we have some prerequisites in order to add the data source in our directory. One is the authentication, that providers must implement the authentication method defined by our Farmtopia directory. There is a specification that we will provided to every provider, and also the data format, the exports. All providers must use JSON LD in order to structure and share the data. Okay, let's explore how a provider can register REST API in the directory, how consumer can discover and request access to it, and how the provider can approve or deny the request. Up. Okay, here we're going to sign up on the directory. This is a screenshot from the live directory. We're going to sign up, providing a username and password, and then log in inside the directory. The first thing that the provider needs to do in order to be able to have the data source available in the directory is to register its data source and create a unique secret key. The secret key is under SHA 256 and must be issued to the provider. The provider needs to store this key securely and use it to validate the JWTs. We are creating the API key from here, and the provider will store it inside the database. After that, it's time to add our data source inside the directory. We go to the available screen here, and we add the various properties of the data source in order to have details for the consumer to see. Let me show you this one that is filled. We had a name, the service URL is where exactly is the, Miran, you can see your URLs here already. And is the service URL is the endpoint of the main REST API. Swagger URL is where the documentation can be found. OpenAPI URL is where the OpenAPI JSON can be found in order for any consumer to be able and check it, or even for a technician to use it in order to program a REST API. The subscription URL, this is a fallback. It doesn't care about the consumer. The data URL is from where they're going to retrieve the data. Some metadata that they can add. It's a free JSON field, a description, and the terms and conditions that they need to have. Now that we have filled all the details as a provider, we are going to log in as a consumer. We found, let's say, inside the list of the directory, the specific data source that the provider inserted before, and we want to subscribe to this dataset. Pressing the subscribe button, we are immediately prompted with the terms and conditions that the provider has already input inside the data source. If we decline, nothing happens. But if we accept, then immediately the provider will be notified by the email about our pending, let's say, subscription request. At that point, the provider will log again inside the directory front end. He will see that we have from this subscriber a pending request for our dataset, this dataset, and he can select to accept this dataset or to decline this dataset. Okay, if he accepts the dataset, everything is fine. From now on, we are able as a consumer to access the data from this specific provider. This access is going to take place as a peer-to-peer access. Nick, do I have time just to explain the peer-to-peer nature? Okay.
Yes,
let's say that, okay, let's go here. Okay, let's say that we are the consumer now. In order to access the data from the provider, we are going to forget this one. It's the secret key of the provider. Let's go here. Okay, the consumer is requesting a JWT from the directory, providing the dataset ID that it wants access to. The directory will check if the consumer has already subscribed to this dataset ID, if it exists, everything that it needs, and it will find the secret key of the provider, sign the JWT, and give it back to the consumer. So now the consumer has a JWT signed from the specific secret key that only the provider, the owner of this data source, knows, and the directory. This JWT will be then used instantly on the authorization bearer. It's a header when you are making a CURL or a general request. On the header, authorization bearer, you put the JWT and send it to the provider along with the rest of your request. The provider then uses its own secret key to decode it. If it fails to decode it, that means that this is probably either it has expired or it's wrong or whatever has happened. There is a failed authentication. The provider say to the consumer, okay, this is failed, try again. If it is a successful authentication though, then the data transfer starts and the consumer can get the data from the provider.
Okay, thank you, Thanasis. At this stage, for the proposal writing for the open call, there's no need to go into such detail, but this is more to get an insight how these services are operating. The idea is that you can build a solution that if it needs data from another provider, it can consider reusing the data sharing framework from Farmtopia. I think with this presentation we are done. As I said before, I have only one more slide about the digital platform for ADS sharing. Although this is not yet ready, I mean, it will be ready on February. However, this is the platform I described in the beginning, that essentially what it does is that allows farmers or farmers associations, representatives and advisors to register their equipment for sharing, and respectively allows persons that are interested to use this equipment to provide their need and to do a matching and share the equipment. The idea here is again to support small farmers, small farms that they don't have the capacity to have to purchase all this expensive equipment, and to enable sharing among the small farmers of expensive devices and assets. Although this is not ready, so you don't have a lot of documentation. It is we really like to see volunteers that they will like to use it. So if something like this fits in your proposal from a technical perspective, it will be really useful for Farmtopia project. If, for example, in your pilot you have access to a community of farmers, like 10 farmers in one village, or from another group of farmers that they are willing to reuse such an approach for sharing equipment. Dusan, I think we are done with the presentations. I don't know now if we are going to have questions, or how.
Thank you very much, Nikos, and thank you also to Marcos, Miran, and Thanasis for their great presentations. Anna, do you know if we have any questions?
Hi, everyone. Yes, you can put the questions in the Q&A session. You can see down. Yes, we already have one question.
Okay, this one is for me. It says, what parameters should I take into account to know if an aquaculture facility meets the criteria of a small or medium-sized enterprise? This really depends on whether you are a farm or you are a company that operates in aquaculture in general. And we have explicit guidelines for this in our Annex 2. If your organization is an SME, the criteria you must pay attention to is your headcount, meaning fully employed personnel on an annual basis, and your assets or annual revenue. These are the two criteria, well, three actually, based on which the size of an enterprise is determined. And in case you are a farm, you need to pay attention to your size and the annual realization of your production. And you have both of these values present in our document. What I'm referring to is called the standard output for farms. Does Annex 4 declaration of owner need to be signed by the farm as well, or only by the SME? This is also a question for me, and the answer is yes. Both organizations need to sign the declaration of owner, that they accept the conditions of the Farmtopia open call. Do we have any more questions from anyone? This is also for me. You mentioned that the members of the consortium need to be registered in Annex 5A, which is the farm declaration, regarding the question about the institution with which the farm is registered. In our situation, the farm is registered with the Central Registry of the Republic of North Macedonia, but it is also registered in the Register of Wine Producers under the Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Water Economy of the Republic of North Macedonia. Do we need to include both state institutions as part of answer to this question? You can, but in this specific situation, it seems that the Central Registry of the Republic of North Macedonia is the more relevant one.
Just to say that if there are no questions here, we can always answer questions by email. So if something comes up after you review all this documentation, you can send an email and we will reply.
Thank you for this, Nikos. And you can also submit your questions to the discussion page or the FAQ page of the Open Call Hub, which is the central interface for receiving proposals for this open call. So if we have no further questions, we can wrap this up. Thank you everyone for attending our webinar, and we hope that it was useful for you. We will be sharing this webinar at our social media if you want to rewatch it, and of course to share it with your colleagues who might be relevant for this. And as my colleague Nico said, if you have any questions, you can ask them either via mail or through the Open Call Hub platform. So thank you again from my side for participating, and thank you to the speakers for organizing this webinar with us.
Okay. Thank you, Dusan. So bye to all.
Bye bye.
Bye
Bye
everyone.
bye. Bye bye. Thank you.
Thank you.